Sometimes we think someone didn't get our point is that we didn't explain clear enough. So we explain more context, more reasons, more examples. We think it feels thoughtful, helpful, and considerate. But that instinct, the habit of over-communicating, reduces influence, respect, and authority. And most of the time, we don't even notice it happening. A few years ago, a customer called asking which plan would suit them best. My instinct was to explain everything, how each plan works, the pros and cons, possible scenarios, every little detail. At first, it felt professional, helpful, and responsible. But halfway through, I noticed their attention drifting. Not because they didn't understand, but because the more I explained, the more space I created for doubt. By the end, they felt unsure again and I felt drained. I remember thinking I was just being thorough, but then I caught myself asking, am I explaining all this because they genuinely don't understand? Or because I just wanted approval? Most of us don't notice this in real time. It looks like care, it feels like care, but the hidden cost is subtle. Every extra word can erode our authority, even when our intentions are good. Another day, another client called asking how we handle feedback internally. I started explaining the full process, step by step. I thought I was being professional and thorough. By the end, they didn't really focus on the main points. They were stuck on the unnecessary details I had added. And that's when it clicked. I was over-communicating, not to clarify, but out of fear of being misunderstood. And in that fear, I lost both clarity and authority. So that was an example of what people call over-communicating. It's the habit of adding justification, context, or examples when they're not needed, hoping it'll make things clearer. But the more we add, the more room we create for doubt, negotiation, or a misalignment, even when the solution is simple. And here's the thing that most people miss. It's not always about what you say. Influence comes from structure and clarity, not volume. So how do we do this differently? What I do now before any important conversation, call, or meeting, I do this. I say less, I define more, I ask the right questions to uncover the real needs instead of assuming. And I structure my point with one example and then stop. For instance, if a customer says, I'm not sure which plan to pick, what's your top priority? What are you looking for? Speed, cost, flexibility. And once they answer that question, I guide them to the solution. Respect intact, energy preserved, and time saved. The pattern in my story shows up in ways we don't expect in our daily lives. Sometimes we want to give every detail in an email, over a call, to preempt questions and make it clear. But to the receiver, what we're doing is just dumping information. Clarity is about focus, helping someone see the decision or the solution without drowning in context. Over-communication often comes from anxiety, fear of being misunderstood, fear of conflict, or fear of being questioned. And the truth is, anxiety really protects influence. It weakens it. For some of us, stopping ourselves from over-explaining takes a system and practice. The worksheet is designed to help you save time, align people faster, and avoid over-communicating, and guides you how to ask the right questions without losing influence. It's a 10-minute prep tool that immediately changes how your conversations land. And it's exactly how I maintain influence efficiently. Grab it if you need it. The link is down below. You might notice, without a system, we keep over-explaining, lose authority, and waste energy and time. And the worst part is, we might even think we're helping. One thing I realized when I started prepping myself with this approach is that smaller decisions train bigger ones. Every call, every conversation, every team or client discussion becomes a chance to practice saying less and defining more. At first, it's gonna feel awkward, like you're holding back. It feels like you're not explaining enough. But over time, when you stop feeling the silence during conversations, people start asking clear questions themselves. The questions they ask or the stories they tell will reveal their needs. And if we ask the right questions, we save time, energy, and preserve authority. In the next episode, we'll explore what happens when trying to explain or clarify might cause more tension. Over-communication can escalate situations without anyone seeing it coming. I'll show how holding your ground firmly without creating pressure or threat, using a neutral tone, becomes the skill that maintains influence, authority, and alignment. That's the next step that most people never learn, but it changes everything. Anyway, I'll see you there. Bye!